Here we go. Adam versus Panupol. Have they ever? They've never faced in a major final or a semi-final or anything.
They haven't played in a final, no, not as far as I'm aware. But
what's their head-to-head record?
Head-to-head, that is an excellent question for our tech man Kumar, who will surely have an answer for us. Come through for me, bro. My bro mate. We saw that earlier.
We're all bro mates.
5 to Adam.
Sorry?
5 to Adam, let me put that out.
So Zamia...
It does feel like it would be Adam favored slightly. There are some cool options. I'm not saying they're good, but you could have played things like Mania, fishing for Zoomania. You could play Amazon to one off and try to fish for Amazonite. They're obviously worse than Zamia, though.
Good ideas.
They are fun.
Very fun.
So it looks like I can't quite tell with that graphic. I think it was 5-2.
Yeah, Adam's 1-5 and Panupol's 1-2.
Adam has a lot more history in terms of playing, I think, like a more defensive type of game. Although that's not the way that he normally plays. He definitely can, and I think that this might be a matchup where that could help him in theory. Because I don't think that Panupol has the same history of playing that sort of game that often. So we'll see if that ends up coming into play. Probably not, but it could. That's one like aspect where I think that Adam would probably have an advantage.
So Panupol's considering Taxa axe with an E or axe with no E. Which would you choose, Kenji? I wonder if he's seen Axite underneath Zamia, which is another option.
So Axite he had on his rack as an option he was considering. Axe without the E, axe with the E. He's been considering a few. And now Taxa.
I think I want to play... it's pretty close. I don't really have a strong preference. Axite looks a little bit better. I guess you have Nib and you have Ita and you have Ami, so you have some of like the parallels. There are a lot of parallels, so I'm not like the other alternatives also have parallels or other options like that. I'm not really sure. I think it's either Axite or Axe with AX. I don't think it's Taxa.
Jeremy Hildebrand asks Jason, what does the Quackle like there? I'm looking over as Jason is doing the sim. Taxa was near the top.
I've done something wrong. I'm not sure. They're all quite close. Yeah, I'd say they're all good.
Again, a lot of options here. There's another position with like 5 or 6 different plays that are all seemingly pretty close together. As long as you get rid of the J and you score 30 plus, you should be fine here. I don't see a strong preference yet. Might be missing something.
Panupol's got Pomb lined up, which would play to the left of Zui.
I don't see a good place for the J after Palm, so I tend to want to get rid of the J with something like Gem or Job or Jive. I feel like I would play Jive, but I don't. It's not based on anything other than that accomplishes what I want to do. MOP does okay. It has several spots on this board, and you're creating another one. You're creating a meta hook, and since the Z's out, then you don't have to worry about that anymore, so that's actually pretty good for you. But I'm okay with several other plays as well here. I think it's personally... I think it's just personal preference. I wouldn't blame anybody if they wanted to play something else. Although I don't really want to keep the J here.
Yeah, I mean, even if your leave was just J, it might be okay. But JI is a particularly inflexible pair to leave. I mean, there's the jam spot, right? That's something. But I mean, the thing about Palm is it doesn't leave a J spot, but like it doesn't leave anything for your. That's because it doesn't leave anything really for your opponent. Like it doesn't open up anything in the left, and at least the I is somewhat good because it has one of the hooks of TA.
Yeah.
And I mean the J is
I don't know,
somewhat useful on a very close.
Also, just because board. Of pure balance, Adam's like more likely than random to have an S. He's not like extremely likely. There's no pure, obvious implication that he does. But just based on the fact that he played, 5 tiles and 4 tiles, it just, with no obvious reason to not have played the S, it just makes it more likely he has the S than randomness would dictate. It's probably more like 1.5 to 2x times random. So creating that S hook after Palm isn't really a good thing, especially since you don't have an S. So that's going to probably make it a little bit worse than usual. Again, though, I think this is real, and that's a reason not to play Job as well. I do like Job better than Palm, though, for the reasons we've been talking about.
Looks like it's considering
Quackle doesn't agree for what it's worth, but it doesn't agree mostly because I think it mostly doesn't agree because it thinks that the odds of Adam having the S are less than they actually are.
I don't think the S is a big deal here. But I mean, it thinks that Palm, Job, and Jib are the same. And Jib is really interesting. It looks like that might be what he's going to play. Jib over Job to keep the hook on BE, the Ob. Kenji, how would you characterize Panupol's inclinations or style?
More aggressive and more open in general.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of very much in line with computer analysis.
Mm-hmm. I see. I love it. Palm. And that's a great spot.
I think it's really important to know what computer analysis is going to say. I don't think that if you're going to do something that's not for computer analysis, I think you should know why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Cyberquad says, "Hey guys, love the setup and the play-by-play commentary at this tournament. Thank you. It looks like Brian McDonald. I'm not entirely sure, but thanks for your comments all the same."
Oh, I misscored Palm. Palm is, if I thought it was 4 less than that. If it's that many points, I might have to play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it was 4 more.
I thought it was 44, not 48.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You should ignore what I said. At least partially. Okay.
So he's lined up JAP. He either played Jap or Jape. Jape, putting the E on making Jape gives you 6 more points.
IAR is a lot worse though. And you are creating more spots.
I don't think IIR is. It's a little bit worse. I don't think it's a lot worse than EIR. Just there's plenty of views I'm seeing. There's 8.
I mean, I know there's not very many bingo lines, but like IIR is. Those are scoring tiles and they're duplicated, so you're gonna bingo like a lot more often with an E.
But just in terms of vowel consonant balance, it's there's, I mean, yeah, that's true, but also the balance if you don't bingo. Oh, whoa, but it won't.
Panupol with really heavy needing a home.
Anyway, Jape Sims a little bit better than Jap. And the other consideration with Jape versus Jap is the opening up the hooks on Eam into the triple word.
I would say this type of board favors Adam over Panupol in general.
Yeah, I think I agree there.
Hello, King of Lettuce. You say sorry late to the news. What happened to Saidu and Nigel? Michael informed us that there was a change in schedule for the round, so Adam and Panupol are on board 1. I'm going to ask him about that a little later, but for now, this is what we have.
It's worth noting that both of them think that the other person has a strong range, and both of them would be wrong.
Yeah.
But if you look at what they've been playing, Adam's range in particular looks, after these 2 plays, it's going to look really, really strong, much stronger than ECIO is. And that should, in theory, affect Panupol's play at least somewhat. I think you should just toss this entire rack. I'm not sure what to even keep, though. The best leave here is definitely like EILRV, like in terms of like statically, but this board is so bad. I know you have the AAL hook, but what are you going to hit? Like EILRV doesn't have a ton of bingos that start with L.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile,
getting an S is
amazing.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So I think you should toss at least 5, but I'm not even sure you should be keeping ER here. I think it's arguable you shouldn't be. In fact, I'm leaning towards not even doing that.
Well, he's kept ER. That seems to be simming good, but...
It's funny, someone suggested in the chat is simming the highest, and that's AALII.
I'm not really a fan of that. But also, it's Adam's rack again is a really strong range, so opening stuff is not a good thing. That being said, ER is going to be better than normal because if Adam's rack is better than normal, he's going to be bingoing more, and if he's going to be bingoing more, then ER is going to have more opportunity than it looks like initially. So leaves are actually going to be a little bit undervalued based on ranges.
Yeah, Quackle thinks ER is the strongest exchange, but you're right that there's other considerations that Sim is not thinking about. Yeah, and as Jesse mentioned, AALII topped out the Sim, but...
This is a bit different, just because now Adam has the S, and he has a lot of things he can hit by just fishing Namu. He can hit Eosinic, he can hit Niswas, he can hit all sorts of like really short plays. So it's actually pretty reasonable to fish here rather than actually try to bingo with some, rather than actually to play something like Sync.
Yeah,
I would
likes Namu a lot.
Actually, yeah, I agree with Namu, I think. If you go through like the most probable tiles that it would be like borderline, you see that almost all of them hit.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, even if they don't hit immediately, they might hit after Panupon's turn. And if they don't, you can always keep fishing, and it's not that bad. So even though Sync scores 30 and it keeps the S, I think you should be fishing.
Yeah, Kwako thinks that Namu wins about 69% of the time, Sync only 65% of the time, so quite a big gap there.
Usually when you have a fishing opportunity, what you want to do is you want to look at like the middling tiles. So you want to look at things like the duplicate tiles that you could be hitting, tiles that are like marginal, like G or B or O, not great tiles, P, things like that. It'll give you a good quick indication as to how often your rack is actually going to be hitting bingos. Rather than just saying to yourself, oh, well, CEINOS looks good. You actually have to permute. And it may not be practical to permute all of the tiles. Top players can do that. They can go through the entire bag. But for the rest of us, looking at those middling cases will give you a really good idea of how strong leads like that are quickly.
Yeah. It's already a big difference on the clocks too, eh? Panupon's down to 13 minutes compared to Adam's almost 21 minutes left. Ricky looks like as the chat noted, best.
Yeah, I don't really see any other options here.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try to set something up, but I don't think that's a good idea at all. Rick has way too many hooks, so even though Rick takes the E hook, it takes 4 or 5 other hooks too.
He's lined up Yicker.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's. Well, Yicker's just strictly worse though. There's no real reason to play Yicker.
I guess he's actually lined up Yicker. Yicker is a verb, it seems, but.
Let's hope he doesn't do that.
I guess he might not be sure of Ricky. Oh no! Oh, what? Don't play Yicker. What? Oh. What does
it hasn't been challenged yet.
There's no hold.
Hasn't been held yet.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, it's a massive blunder. He needs to heed David Elder's advice and only play words about which one is sure.
Valid words,
Valid
indeed.
Words. Oh. What are your thoughts, Jesse?
Tasty. But the play not so much.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
So at this point, Adam now has I always hesitate with these sorts of situations because even though it's obviously good, it makes your decision much more complicated because now you have to take into account Panupon's entire rack here, and most of Adam's good options are not good options anymore.
God, this is incredible. So if you compare the expected win percentage of Ricky, Yicker, if it's a hypothetical real word, and Yicker challenged off, the spread is so big. It was really a huge turning point. Ricky would win about 39% of the time. Yicker, after it's been challenged off, as actually happened, wins 21% of the time. And then the hypothetical real word Yicker would win 65% of the time. So I guess the end takeaway is that he's just threw away 18 win percentage points by playing his phony. If he had played Ricky, he'd be about 40% to win, and now he's only 21% to win.
And
but there was
now
motivation
Adam
to
can
play
adjust too,
Yikor.
because Adam knows his entire rack, and that information isn't accounted for in Quackle, but that's
Right.
significant.
Yeah. But you can see why he took the gamble, because he's... I mean, it's such... Yikor would have been given him especially huge chance to win.
Adam's decision is kind of miserable right now. You can actually even make some like fake setups, because you know, if you play like, let's say, OU under Palm, like Panupol's gonna have to block, and he's not gonna like it, but he's gonna have to take something like Reich for 18 rather than playing Ricky for 36, and he should, I think anyway. Even though Adam doesn't really have any play over there, there's no way that Panupol could know that. I'm not sure I would do that necessarily. That's just an example, but that is the sort of thing that you need to start thinking about in these situations, which makes these sorts of situations really, really hard to play.
Yeah. Which play did you just mention?
Just like OU for 6 at B13, like as a fake setup type of thing.
B13.
Because there's no real play there for Panupol.
Right. Yeah, this
I'm not saying
Quackle sim isn't super helpful to evaluate that play, but Quackle really likes playing OU at C4, so next to sync. But I agree that your fake setup is very intriguing.
It's just, and when you make some sort of play, it's always important to note that Adam's going to have some idea what you're going to be playing next turn, so maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Especially if you make some sort of like 2-tile play. It's just like, you know, it may be something like, well, I can't play Ricky next turn because if I play Ricky, Adam knows it's coming and he made a 2-tile play, so you must have some huge comeback with Ricky's. That is a legitimate thought that could enter his head. That would be reasonable. If Adam had something like, let's say, Fish, he's just going to play 2 or 3 tiles off, keep Fish, and, you know, and get a good comeback next turn for like 50 plus. As to what Adam should be playing, I don't really know. Maybe
Jesse, what does the chat think?
In the chat, actually, OU, like you mentioned, alongside Sank, that was suggested. The OU that Kenji mentioned, Jackson was saying Rai would just get played on the left. But cool idea, he likes it. Joel Sherman says OU is much better than Buteo. Ricky is way more than Panupol can get elsewhere and should be stopped.
Yeah, that's true. Ricky really is. I mean, Ricky is 38. It's a great point that's still Panupol's best play.
Well, I mean, after OU, most, you know, Panupol's best options are going to be putting the Y at B1 for the most part. They're things like Yerk. And you have BO, so you have the parallel for that already. So that's something that actually goes for OU even more disproportionately.
Great point.
Quackle would always play Yerk, which is a reason why it would probably sim very well. Whereas there's a decent chance Panupol will instead play something like Crikey.
Crikey, that's... Yeah, I see.
So, especially, you know, so, I mean, this is obviously just going to be very complicated in terms of that sort of, like, tit-for-tat iteration.
Yeah, well, Adam spent 6 minutes on this already? It's no closer to a move.
It's difficult. I mean, like I said, this is a good reason why. I do think I like OU on that side, though. Even though, you know, especially because of that BO Yerk thing, that's actually pretty significant. It would take me a long time to figure that out, though. You can also play BO over there and set up the O, because you know that Panupol doesn't have the oboe hook for it. So you play BO, and then you can play some through OC next turn. I would imagine that's not bad.
Interesting.
Bio.
Bio.
What?
It's interesting. He is blocking Crikey for that.
That
So-
seems terrible, but let me...
Well, Panupol's options after Bio were horrendous. They're even worse. Like, what's he gonna do now? And Adam knows this. Adam knew this ahead of time.
I mean, I feel like Bio is good, but it's strictly worse than OU.
Well, now he has to play something like... I mean, if he can find a mirror, he has to play a mirror. If he doesn't even find a mirror, his plays are now absurdly bad. He has to play like... I see nothing even remotely good other than a mirror.
He's
ends up trading.
exchanged?
Yeah. that's I don't
Oh,
blame him. I mean,
mirror.
that's his options. Instead of a mirror, other than a mirror, his options are horrendous.
Yeah, Kenji's
Whereas
talking
if
about
you left
playing
the C open,
the E and the R around me on the board, making Jape. That would be 20 and leaving E, I, K, R, Y, which is a pretty good leave.
right?
Well, he's missed a
but
mirror.
that's the
Wow.
only play he had. If he missed that, he has nothing. Whereas with,
Wow,
if you
yeah.
if you just played BO, he could play Crikey, which he's gonna find.
Right. Good
So
point.
I kind of get it. Maybe they both missed a mirror. I think that's probably what happened,
Hmm.
which is really easy to do. A
Mhm,
mirror's not
mhm.
easy.
Yeah. Wow, it's crazy. Is the chat is blown away by the sequences we are?
Let's see. Dodge City says, looking as though this game will run into time trouble.
Yeah.
I would say so.
we're nowhere near halfway done, and they've blown through well more than half their time.
Some suggestions are Octal through the sea, or Taco in the same line, says Joel Sherman. Or
Sorry,
Eric
did
Tran
Adam
would say Taco.
Did Adam just exchange?
No, Adam is ADENORW, right? Oh,
No, he had AEOSTU. Did he exchange 3?
oh
Yeah,
okay.
he must have changed
He
because
must have, yeah.
Panupol had Teardown minus the T in his rack, and he just played
And he
on.
played on. I don't like on. I don't want to give an S setup. There's no S's played yet, and Adam just fished. That's you don't want to leave an S lane for that when you have no blocks and no S yourself. I'm not a fan of this. I would much rather see something else. Even like AWED, I would rather see.
Mm,
Adam always has an S in this sort of situation, and it could score well. Or bingo a lot. Not just next turn, but the turn after.
having to put S in second position is not the easiest thing to do.
Well, in the first position, you're gonna have more than one iteration of probably trying to hit that spot. It's not easy to block even.
Quackle thinks that just dropping the A was by far the best thing to do. I'm not sure if that's a real result. Oh, sorry, I'm simming against Yiker. Yiker,
You need to
please,
take out
please,
that rack.
please ignore.
I was gonna be like... Quackle's also not going to be very representative because it's going to play way more open than a human would, especially against
Yeah.
strong ranges.
Yeah,
It's actually still putting a buy at the top.
yeah.
I mean, it's going to bingo a lot. It actually hits, if you go through the bag, DENORW hits a lot of things.
Yep.
And you have the need hook, so it actually
Yep.
fits a lot of the time too. So it's actually not that
Yep.
surprising.
Yep. It's a
Downier,
best of
etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, it's a huge winner. And even AW is a big winner there. Yeah, Kenji's intuition was right that AWN is probably not good.
Panupol opting for eek at the end of the day. The chat liked a key through the sea and sank, creating ab and co.
And the S hook. That was Adam, right?
No, Panupol played eek. You're a turn behind. Or it was Adam, I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
it was the name tags on you. We're good. Yeah,
So you should
key.
probably just drop OH here. You don't want to leave things you don't want to leave like too many obvious lanes, and DEIRD is pretty good, and you're up against a really strong range, so you should probably assume that the board is going to start blowing open. This board is closed now. It will not be closed in 3 turns, pretty much no matter what. The right side of the board and the bottom and the top are just going to blow open very shortly. It's inevitable at this point.
So Joel Sherman suggested...
And you have the Ds for need, if need be.
Joel Sherman suggested Ochred. Panupol going with just Ock. Peter Armstrong hates giving up all of those E's with eek.
Yeah. These are such complicated visions and they have not enough time to think them through. But it is good that they're playing quickly because they should be. No.
So you don't really want to open if you can't bingo. You kind of want to just keep it the way it is. So
Yeah. If there's nowhere to play, it doesn't.
you can
open
play
something.
Lokia and set up your L. If you play Lokia, you have an L hook for Lokia. There's
Great
no
idea.
real tiles that go over the I, and ALST is a pretty good bingo leave, so I think that's
That's a
what I'd
great
go with
idea.
here.
Great idea. It's a real tough one. So Kenji's suggesting playing around OCH, LOCHIA, which is nice because LOCHIAL is also a word. That said, the SAIL, SAIL, in Zamia's that Adam has played does sim as up the same with Lokiol.
But your simulation isn't accounting for ranges, right?
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, Lokia opens things up much more than SAIL does for bingos, right? So I'm not sure that.
Right, but it has a lot fewer L's and scoring spots. The I in front of, like, IA over Lokia, which is a scoring spot, is not going to be hit nearly as often by a bingo heavy range as opposed to a random range, for example. I don't know though, you are right that it is going to open more bingos, although not that many. I guess a quite fair number.
Dreidel.
I don't know, this is the problem
What's
of
happened?
having no time in your clock. You don't get to think about
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
Panupol's got a blank on his rack after playing Dreidel. That's nice.
Oh, he just can't hit. Oh, he's so close to dead alert, but it just misses.
There's later ad again. Dead alert does hit.
No, it didn't fit.
Yeah, it does.
No, I think your crackle is a little bit off.
The second one. The second L. GATALLER. It fits. The L is... It fits.
No, he
Okay.
had
On each
DATAL and he left LR.
Oh, LR. Okay. I can't see.
It's okay.
That's why I
So
thought
where
he
are
had
we?
later
Wow, we're tied still. We've been tied this whole game. What a game.
Very close.
Please don't play another invalid word.
We recommend the valid word strategy.
Yes.
It's a fairly good one.
Panupol and YOU lined up underneath the atoll. That's good. Yeah, I agree with the chat. It's Hanukkah right now, right?
Hanukkah is in December, yeah?
We're still in that magical 7 days, right? Are we? What a word, dreidel.
Sam Rosen says, "You look strong here." And right on cue, Lucas Freeman pops into the chat for the first time of the day and says, "Thanks, Sam. I've been working out." Nice. Rebecca Slivka confirms, "Yep, it's the last day or the second to last day today for Hanukkah."
Great.
A little bit of a tough break for Panupol, pulling another U. All the U's.
So there are 2 S's out?
Yeah. Adam has
So
one
you
S
may
and then
actually be playing guilds here. It's because the S's... This is actually a really bad board for the S because there's plenty of S's out and there's no good S spots.
Mm-hmm.
So playing guilds rather than playing like GILD and getting a better leave may very well be worth it here.
Yeah, 2 blanks in the bag.
And 2 S's, yeah.
Jill Sherman notes that Adam is paying a price for playing too much defense when he could have been playing offense.
I don't agree with
Perhaps. Would you play Lurgies or Guilds? There are 4 R's unseen. That's probably why he had Lurgies lined up.
that. Oh, I would be playing Lurgies, yeah.
For some reason, despite the R situation in the bag, Cockle still prefers Guilds.
The R is a better tile than the D is, just in general, because of row and because...
Oh, yes, row.
R is better.
The R can hook on top of HO to have a bingo lineup starting with R. Good point.
That being said, I don't think I agree with Quackle. I think I still prefer Lurgies a little bit. But that's probably a good reason why.
Panupol playing and Hob.
Seems like a good choice.
As noted, Adam also has a blank now, 1 apiece.
Wow, what a game.
Mm-hmm. Panupol's got surfing and show at the very least next turn.
It's going to be blocked.
Whoa, really?
He does have Florens, though, when it gets blocked. It's going to get blocked by Feg or Veg, I would assume. The overwhelming percentage of the time here.
Oh, Biog. Wow.
Oh yeah, Ocean Biog, yeah.
But Florens should... I mean, Florens is going to open up a lot of things. So
Yeah,
that's
whoa.
not exactly what you want to play.
Dramatic finish, potentially.
I know. We should be on the edges of our seats.
Let's move our seats. But then we don't get to fall back from our seats. If anything amazing happens, we fall forward, like right into the screen, ruin the setup. Kumar will have our heads as we
It's worth
destroy
noting
his
that the
gaming
bag
laptop.
has not a lot of vowels at this point. And
Yeah.
Veg does leave yourself without getting rid of your last vowel. I
Yeah.
think you still have to do it, but
Too bad he has no other play.
we are getting
Yeah.
short on vowels here. Especially when we assume that your opponent has a balanced range, which is perfectly reasonable considering that they played YOU and UH. YOU is 2.5 vowels. So,
You're right. Yeah, and Florence wouldn't give him any vowels to play through either.
The chat points out unifiers is there as well through the I and sail for another potential option.
that's true. Furnish as well.
Whoa, he just played his F. Why? Why?
Expected. I don't know if I would do that.
He drew a T, as could be expected from a bag that had 4 T's. What a strange play.
And unifiers is coming down.
Oh, that
I
E.
do-
Can
I
he
don't
do
wanna
something
leave
with
the
the E?
E open.
Yeah, seriously. That
yeah,
E is...
I don't want to leave that E open. I'd much rather play either Florence or Furnish. I guess not even Furnish, Florence. I know that Florence leaves an S in the treble lane, but in this particular pool with this vowel distribution, I think that actually that E matters more, maybe? I don't know, I haven't looked at the pool, like, it's hard to think about this that quickly. I guess
the
there
E matters
are...
a lot, but that lane is... Well, yeah, it's a double versus a trip. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure. Oh boy.
There's also the I. I mean, the I is not nearly as good, but it's relevant.
Yeah.
Sam Rosen says now he really needs to see it, as in biog.
Oh, do we think that maybe Adam missed Veg?
That's Jackson Smiley's thing, saying he likes the explanation that he
Interesting.
simply missed biog.
Yeah, that is a pretty good explanation. If you can miss Kof, you could miss Biog.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah, it does seem
Finding
like he
those like
must have.
intricate plays on these sorts of boards, by the way, is really, really important. You know,
Yeah.
Biog here, Emir the turn before, Namu, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Finding those things
Yeah.
is it's really hard, and they're short words. But just because they're short words doesn't mean it's easy to find them.
Yeah. Oh, we draw another E. That's good.
Joel says, feels like surfing and show must be better than unifiers, not giving floating vowels. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. Surfing is actually better than Florence even. I forgot about that entirely. I just assumed it was going to be blocked, and so I just forgot about the existence of it.
Yeah.
Cyberquad points out twerked for Adam next turn.
Does Panupol have any good plays?
I think just stuff with like talk. Wait, is talk a word?
Where are you looking, Kenji? Oh, over there, yeah. Let's see what else. Novice says Adam missed cough last game also.
No.
Yeah.
Or
Sam
rock,
Rosen-
stuff like that.
Sam Rosen asked if some players are exhausted. The schedule looks pretty intense. Yeah, it's a very intense schedule. I can definitely speak for a few players I've talked to that are having fun, but will be relieved when this is over because they are exhausted.
Did he exchange?
He did.
Whoa, and then he
And
drew
it
a...
worked out very well for him.
Whoa.
He's pulled Striven.
Whoa. Will that be blocked by a bingo of Adam?
You can't block Striven and Bingo should be... Oh, it's already been blocked. Sorry.
Oh, he's...
So yeah, Striven will still go down after Redwater, or other options perhaps through the ER. Yeah, we're going to see a bingo next turn for sure in response. You're welcome, Sam. Yeah, it's 9 games day 1, then it was 3 days of 10 games, and this is 6 games for the last day. I can tell you, based on when we went
We're
off the
having-
air every day, it was about 12 or 13 hours between the end of the last game and the start of the next day. So barely enough time to sleep and do something else besides Scrabble before moving right on. It is tiring. Go ahead, Kenji, sorry.
You can notice that Jason and I are having a hard time following this game just when we're like analyzing it. So you can imagine playing is
Yeah.
harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if the sim is useful here or correct here, but sim prefers torqued to red water by a bit. But I don't know if that's a real thing. Certainly torqued would have worked out better for Adam.
I think it's probably more of a real thing than the sim is giving it credit for, probably. Just because,
Yeah.
again, ranges.
Yep.
So I would think the sim would undervalue torqued and overvalue red water. Or mostly just overvalue red water.
Yeah. This is a really complicated position from Panupol's perspective, because he needs to be double. I mean, he needs to count how many bingos are available for counterplay after each of his 4 bingo possibilities. Well, 3 really.
Well, it's mostly just about counting.
Right.
I mean,
Intuitively, Striven seems the safest because it doesn't give any 7s in the top, and you're forcing 8s through very specific letters in red water.
from Panupol's perspective, the only bingo that exists in the pool right now is Rudiest paralleling red water.
Oh.
That's the only one that's even possible. So, actually,
Yeah.
if he just plays to the E, nothing gets blocked. I mean, it blocks everything, but I don't know if he could know that. He probably doesn't even see Rudiest, to be honest.
Right.
James Curley providing the update saying Team USA gets a point this round. Okay. Citer from Adam.
Paco thinks that Sierge to the E of red water was best.
There's ooh to go out. That's win picked up for Panupol here.